You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is being brought to you with the help of Full-Time Freedom Week. Occurring November 19th through 23rd, Full-Time Freedom Week is more than a blog series or digital summit. It's a completely one-of-a-kind and effective 5-day mega event that teaches everything you need to know to become and remain a successful RVer. See the link in the show notes for more details about the event and how to get registered. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk with each other to let everybody know who we are, how we got into RVing, and why we enjoy it so much. So I'll turn it over to Kenny to start grilling me on the questions.
Hey, Sean. Good morning, Sean. So actually, my first question, I'm curious about, what made you decide, because I don't know if everybody knows this, but the podcast is completely your idea. And I was just wondering what made you think, or why did you want to start doing a podcast?
That's a good question. I am always fascinated with how businesses started and who the people are that come up with these ideas for products, or why they got into owning a campground. And there's nobody out there that's really talking about the people behind the products and the businesses. So I thought it would be good to come at the RV industry from that angle and learn about the people that are making these products and are running these campsites. So far, it has been pretty interesting.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I've been enjoying just listening to the people answer our questions and just learning so much from them, and just how much thought goes into some of these projects before they even make their very first, if it's a product, just how much thought process goes into that product before they even get to see their very first one. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, like SnapPad, he said it took that product was in some sort of development for 25 years.
Yeah, a long time. Like a really, really long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's been really cool. And then, so when you thought of the idea of doing a podcast, I forget if you either called me or texted me. I really don't remember, but you said, if you asked if I would be interested in co-hosting with you, and I think I answered you very quickly. I think I said yes, right away, because a podcast has always interested me as well. And I've always wanted to put something together like that, but I would have never done it on my own. So I was just wondering, who else were you considering for the show? If I would have said no, or I don't even know if you asked other people, but if I would have said no, who was your follow-up or second choice?
I didn't have one.
I never had the second choice.
Yeah, you were my only choice, and I think it worked out that way because I'm pretty quiet, maybe introverted, I guess, and you're more outgoing. So I thought we would play off each other fairly well to make for a better podcast than if I was just doing it on my own.
It is hard to shut me up. That's for sure. And it is. And you're right, though. I mean, I think it's been working really, really well. So now that I did say yes to the podcast, my follow-up question is, how sorry are you that I said yes? How much are you regretting this idea to bring me on?
I actually think it's worked out pretty good. We've been, surprisingly, we actually work well together.
Surprisingly.
I mean, I thought it would take a few episodes for us to figure things out, but it worked out pretty quickly. And I think we did, once you said yes, we started planning right away. That also helped that we were both able to meet fairly often to discuss how to refine the concept to make it a better podcast.
Yeah, well, I don't think we had much of a choice. Julie was over there telling us to get it in gear. Her exact words. So she was a little tough on us.
Because it seemed like so long from when we had the idea to when we started, but really we needed all that time to plan it out.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what we're hearing from other people too. There's a lot of planning that goes in before we even recorded our very first episode. We did have a lot of planning to do, just the system that we record on, our content, starting to line up guests, figure out how to put it on more than just one platform. I mean, there was, that's all you though. I just kind of show up. You tell me when we're going to meet.
But doesn't it surprise you at how quickly we were able to get guests to come on?
Oh, yeah. I thought that was probably the most difficult part, was to have somebody respond to an email. be like, hey, do you want to come on to our little podcast that we don't have any episodes to give you or sample yet, but it's going to be pretty good. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, nobody's turned us down yet. It's unbelievable that how many people are saying yes, and so are saying yes so quickly. We're like, this is great. This is great for us. It's great for the listeners. Actually, and this leads me right into another question for you, and it's podcast related. So I'll give you a little time to think about this one. What would be a dream guest to have on the show? Or guests to have on the show?
I already know. Yeah, it won't take me any time to answer that one. I would like to get on Marcus Lemonis, the CEO of Camping World, for a couple reasons. Because Camping World's like the Walmart of RVing. They have them pretty much every city, and they have almost every product you need. And then second, I think it's because he's a controversial character in the RV industry. Like if you read the Facebook forums or, any of the social media, there's people who love him and there's people who hate him. And I think if given the chance to come on really any RV centric media type of thing, he would be able to explain to people how he is, and maybe people will appreciate where he's coming from.
Yeah, I think that's very true about the company itself too. The Camping World brand, people either love it or they hate it. I don't think anybody walks in and out of a Camping World or talks about a Camping World and just says, they're okay. I think you do get that extreme. Either people are like, oh yeah, I love Camping World. I use them. I like that I can go in, get service, get products, get magazines, whatever it is. And then you get other people that are like, walk into me like, I hate Camping World because they have poor service, because they never have the products I'm looking. So I think you're right. I think a guest like him would be really fantastic.
I've gotten service at private RV dealership, mobile RV tech, and Camping World, and I really don't like the way people complain about Camping World about their service anyway, because I think their service was actually better than some of the private RV service places that we've been to. It's the nature of RV service that it's not the same as auto service. It's completely different.
True. Yeah, it's completely.
Yeah, especially when they're dealing with all these different brands and, different models. It's tough.
Sabrina and I have actually also had pretty good service with Camping World too, for the most part. I think there was one time that we did not have a great experience with them, and it was for towing our car. They had some issues putting a base plate on our C-Max, which, with all fairness, I mean, our car is a rare model. I never see anybody towing a Ford C-Max.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, so I mean, we might have to give it to them on that one, that it's just an oddball car that they've probably never even seen before.
What about you? Who would be your ideal guest?
For me, same as you said, for me, it would be an easy one. It would be John and Peter from the RV Geeks.
Oh, and yeah.
I feel like their service has been incredible for Sabrina and I. When we were first starting out RVing, watching their videos really helped us prepare for the RV lifestyle. And not only that, not just watching their videos, but Sabrina and I would write to John and Peter probably, I bet you at one point there was a time that we were writing a question a week to them, and they would come back and answer every single one of our questions, and not just like little, not even just like a little quick question, but I mean, they would really go into a lot of detail. They would give us like full lists of things that they thought that we would need, even, before we set out. I mean, really, really took the time, like went above. We always felt they went above and beyond what they, obviously they didn't need to do anything, but above and beyond what was kind of expected.
They definitely provide, even though it's not a tangible product, they definitely provide a service.
Yeah, I think so too.
They've helped thousands and thousands of people, I bet.
Yeah, and they're super nice about it. They seem to be more than happy. I think they actually get a lot of enjoyment from finding out that they are reaching people and that they are helping people. I think they're really cool guys.
So you're an RVIA inspector, right?
I am, yep.
So did you do that before or after you started RVing?
I did that after I started RVing. I want to say it was a couple months after. Originally, I thought I would be doing like work camping and things like that, and we found out that like we moved around too much. This was just kind of poor planning on our part, but we moved around too much for that. And then I thought, well, maybe I could go and become an inspector, and I could inspect RVs as we traveled. And it turned out that, again, we were just moving too often. It was hard to say to somebody, hey, I'm going to be in this area, and they kind of meet up and I can inspect an RV for them or something like that. But then we also thought the side benefit would be is because I was so, I guess the word green would be on RVing. And I didn't know, I did tons of research before we moved into the RV, but I didn't feel like my knowledge on the RV systems and everything was up to snuff to be able to make sure that we were safely getting from location to location because we moved so often. And the class at the RVI that I took really helped. I mean, there's been items that I can identify now that I would not have been able to before. I learned a lot of troubleshooting skills. I think you and I were talking the other day about even like AC units and swapping out capacitors and stuff. I would have never even tried to tackle that before this class. The class gave me a lot of confidence that, I can go look through our RV, find issues and repair these issues on my own before needing to take it to a dealer. And I feel like that's not something that's just saving us money, but it's saving us time also from the road because we were just saying, service in the RV industry is a little rough.
Yeah.
And you drop your RV off and then they say to you, all right, we're going to get to it as quickly as we can. But that could take, we personally know people that have had their RV in a shop for a month to 2 months even. And that just, for us, that just doesn't work.
Right. So that class didn't put you on the level, I would say, of the RV geeks.
No.
Like the level that they're at. But it did make you a better RVer.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't say that I could tackle everything in the RV or anything like that, but Sabrina and I both feel much more confident, I guess. I mean, I almost feel like I could tackle any project, but I know there's things that are just way out of my limit that I just wouldn't do that I see the RV geeks do sometimes where they're like doing rewiring and they replumb things. And I'm like, nah, that's a little bit out of my capability that I'm comfortable with. I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but I always feel like sometimes I know enough to become dangerous where maybe I could start a project and make something worse or something like that. But as far as maintaining the RV, I feel pretty confident as far as going in like upgrading systems and rewiring. I mean, these the geeks do some like really
major projects.
Major projects. I would never tackle, well, you did, but I would never tackle a solar system install on my own. I would need somebody, I feel like I would need somebody to help me with that project. Maybe I could watch enough YouTube videos to do it, but you did it. I mean, you did a whole solar install on your own. I mean, what gave you the confidence to do that? Were you watching YouTube videos or were you talking with people?
Well, I watched some YouTube videos, and then when I was in Wellington, boondocking, filming the RV Nomads documentary, they were doing some solar installs there. So I just kind of peeked over people's shoulders and got an idea. And then I figured the hardest part is just starting. And then once you start taking stuff apart, you have to figure it out. So I just kind of played it by ear after that.
That is true. I mean, the hardest part is absolutely starting. That fear of, maybe I'll screw stuff up. But once you get started, I guess you have to finish kind of what you guys started. I just know I would have Sabrina over my shoulder the whole time and just be like, she would be pissed at me if I started some type of big electrical issue and then, or electrical project and wasn't able to finish it. And, then we have no power or something. I don't know. I always think the worst, I guess. I'm not sure.
There was definitely some times when I was a little nervous putting that stuff together. Like, if this doesn't work, we're going to be going to a hotel. But I guess it's a little bit of trial and error, a little bit of luck.
I was going to say, too, though, you guys aren't new to RVing. You've been RVing, 4 years? Full-timing for 4 years?
Yeah, we've been RVing for 4 years.
So I guess, did you start out doing like small projects and then build yourself up to larger? You guys are doing like a total remodel now of your RV. Is that something that you would have done right off the bat?
We started with just trying to fix some of the small warranty stuff that we could. And so we started with those little things, like we had some loose wires, so we had to track those down. And we had, just little things like that. So we started with that. And then I actually opened up and read all the maintenance books that came with the RV, for each of the little systems.
Yeah.
So then I started doing the preventive maintenance stuff. Doing that gave me the confidence to say, oh, well, maybe I can change this or upgrade this. So that's how it all started.
So maybe in another 3 years, I'll be ready to tackle on installing solar. I don't know. Maybe that's just something that comes with a little bit with time. And you had a good point too about reading those books and looking at the preventative maintenance. I feel like that's something that I do a lot of also. I'm always in the books, not as much now as when we first bought it, and doing that preventative maintenance does give you a little bit, it gives you a better understanding of how
Right.
everything is working and how it should be working, so that when it's not working properly, you can recognize it. I think that's important probably for everybody to do. Even if they're not planning on taking on like big projects, I think it's a good idea for everybody to take a look in those books and learn about their RV and how it's supposed to be functioning, so that they know when it's not doing the right thing.
Right. And something as simple as lubing your axles or flushing the water heater and things like that help you understand, like you said, help you understand the whole system, the RV system as a whole. So you also write for Winnebago.
Yep.
Has that helped you be a better RVer as well?
I don't know if it's helped me be a better RVer. So I do write for Winnebago Life. So most of those articles are lifestyle and maintenance related articles. I do a lot of research, and I try to base a lot of, obviously everything I write from my perspective. It has to be making me a better RVer. And if anything, like it's pushing me out of my comfort zone, and maybe even making me a better person when I meet people, to try to learn more about their story and listen to more what they have to say. I do have a bad habit of talking about myself a lot. So I think it is kind of opening my eyes that I need to listen to other people and learn from them, because I have found that every time I talk to somebody, no matter what it's about, no matter where it is, not just in RVing, but I learn something new from every single person I talk to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Every time I talk to somebody, something new is, opening my eyes to something completely new, or something I've never even thought about before. And that's one of the nice things about RVing and camping, is that you get to meet so many different people from all across the country, and just like little simple things that, I grew up in Philadelphia. Things, even just little things that, we might say in Philadelphia, nobody has ever heard in California, and vice versa. They have sayings and phrases. I mean, it's just fun. It's fun to meet people. So yeah, I would agree that, or I would say that writing for the Winnebago Life has made me a better RVer. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, yes.
The one thing that we enjoy about RVing is what you mentioned about community. And once you pull into an RV park, everybody seems, for the most part, friendly, and you can pretty much talk to anybody, and you learn stuff about people and the country and cool places to add to the list of things to go see. So yeah, we really like the community.
Yeah. And I think when we were first thinking about going into living in the RV, people would tell us, what are you trying to run away from? You guys are going to become antisocial. And it's really the exact opposite. I would say, if anything, you're actually running towards more people and being more social. I'm sure there's people that do this that never go out and talk to other people. I'm sure if that's what you were looking for, you could get that out of this type of lifestyle. But if you're looking to expand your mindset, I mean, I think this is the perfect way to do it, is to actually go out and experience. You're learning about these other people's experience, and they're helping share their experience with you. I mean, sometimes you almost feel you're right there with them.
Yeah, that's right. Why did you originally decide to go full time?
It's just so that Sabrina and I could spend more time together, because we didn't feel like we were spending time together. And when we did, we didn't feel like it was quality time together. She was working a lot of hours at her hospital. I had my small business that I was running. It was a vending machine company, soda, snacks, and candy machines and things like that. So both of us were always kind of like go. And she had cut her hours down at work from full-time to part-time, and started picking up these hours called locum, where she would travel out. And I mean, it was great that she was working less hours at the main hospital, but since she picked up these part-time hours with the locums, with traveling, she was like gone for, at least we would see each other at night, even if we didn't have time to really talk or say anything, but we would at least see each other. And then, but she really enjoyed the travel part of going to different hospitals, meeting new people, seeing new systems, seeing how things were done at different hospitals, that she was completely different at her own hospital. For some people, that sounds scary. Some people say, well, now it's almost like starting a new job, every new Monday. But for Sabrina, she likes it. She likes that challenge. She likes learning new stuff. And it just made her a happier person when she was out doing this locum work. So we were like, all right, well, let's put in a plan in motion to get you out of your hospital. We can do the locums full time. I can sell my business. And I had like 2 or 3 different types of ideas of what I would be able to do for income while on the road, and none of them worked. So, I mean, if anybody's listening, definitely like have backup plans for everything, because every idea that I had for like income didn't work. I actually became very lucky that Winnebago Life found me and then brought me in part of their team. So we, changed things around so that we could move into an RV and spend more quality time together. So now, when we're traveling, we're side by side up front and we get to talk and have more meaningful conversations. We've learned to work together, better communication skills. You have to be able to work together when you're living in such a small space like this, and you have to be able to work together and stay cool and calm when things are going wrong. We honestly feel like the RV life has strengthened our relationship in a lot of different ways. I mean, that was really the main goal, was just to spend more quality time together.
And it's worked.
And it has worked. Yeah. It's been fantastic. I know we still have family members that keep on asking us, so when are you guys going to give this up? But they don't realize how good it is. From an outside perspective, people are like, oh, this looks horrible. She's starting a new job every week and you guys are living in a small space, but it's wonderful. It really is a wonderful lifestyle.
And you guys move quite a bit.
Yeah. Every 5. Yeah, you have a lot of questions for me today, Sean. I wasn't expecting all of this. So we move every 5 to 7 days. We did about 33,000 miles in the last 12 months. We always say that we've experienced more in the last 12 months than we have in the 9 years that we've been together. We just, the places that we've seen, the people that we meet, the events that we attend, it's just been great. It's been great.
Yeah, and you go to you're not in the plush touristy areas all the time. I mean, you spent the winter in some cold places.
Yeah, usually not all we're never where everybody else wants to be. So, I mean, that's kind of part of Sabrina's work. So, when she's going to hospitals, the hospitals that are contacting us for her to work at for these short time periods are hospitals that have trouble with work. Like, we would love to be in California, but California doesn't have an issue getting down. Everybody wants to be in California. So we go to, I'm not saying anything bad about the areas that I'm about to mention, but we go to Indiana in the wintertime. It's not a desirable winter location. We go down south in the summertime. It's again, for the season, nobody wants to be in Georgia in the summertime in the heat and humidity. So, I mean, most RVers, do their best to kind of follow that weather, try to keep that 70 degree. We're in 15 degrees in the wintertime and we're 98 degrees in the summertime. We do the exact opposite.
But that's a good point, that even though you're not in the places where everybody else wants to be, you're still enjoying the lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. It's still a lot of fun. Yeah. It's still a lot of fun because, I mean, we're not alone you would think nobody else would be at these campgrounds, that we would be the only ones. They're sparse, but there's still a few people. And then that's a good thing too, in a way, is that, because there is just a handful of us there, they become our neighbors for a week. We get to learn a little bit more about them than probably if we were in a very busy, crowded area. You can go outside, you see the same person or the same face for that week, and you get to know that person. We exchanged numbers and cards and emails, and we keep in touch. We still keep in touch with people that we met a year ago, and we're still keeping in touch with them. If they full time, we try to schedule it so that we can meet back up somewhere. We keep an eye on each other and figure out if we can bump into each other accidentally on the road somewhere.
Yeah. Actually, we met some people when we were at the RVE summit last year in Fredericksburg. We met some people. Well, that's where we met you, actually. But we met some other people that we made plans and we're going to Big Bend with them in December. So awesome. You just meet some cool people and keep in touch and make plans and eventually meet back up again somewhere.
Yeah, you meet tons of nice people too. I mean, I don't know what it is about the camping. Maybe because you've been doing this longer, the RV community. I don't know. I even wrote an article on this, why are RVers so friendly? And it's still a question I think I kind of summed it up in that article, but it's still something that I'm like, why are these RVers so friendly? Why is it that, if I'm struggling setting up, that they come over and want to lend a hand? I said in the article that nobody ever has asked me to help carry my bags up to a hotel room before, no matter what I was doing. Nobody would ever say that in a hotel. But at a campground, if they see you kind of struggling, they're pretty quick to come over and say, hey, do you need a hand? Lend tools. I mean, it's a very strong community. It's a very friendly community. And I don't know, what do you think is the reason that people are so friendly at RV parks and want to help out?
I think it's because you have something in common that not everybody has. You know, like when you're in a regular neighborhood or living in an apartment, you don't necessarily have a lot in common with those people. But RVing is kind of unique. So you have automatically something that's out of the ordinary in common with other people. So you kind of have an understanding of each other, I guess, going in. So when you're next to somebody and you see that they're struggling, or if you see they're just sitting outside in one of their chairs or at a picnic table, it's easier to go up and talk to them because you have this common thing.
Yeah, I was going to say similar mindset, but I think you're right. It's more of just is commonality a word? No, probably not.
Commonality, yeah.
Is that a new word? If it's not, it's a new one now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think that is what it is. We do have that common bond.
You know, for the first probably 2.5 years that we were RVing, we weren't like that. We were pretty much inside our RV all the time and, you know, did stuff outside of the RV parks, but never really talked to our neighbors or anything like that. But probably in the last 1.5 years, I've met more people and kept in contact with more people than I ever did my entire life.
That's great though, right?
Yeah.
You're growing as a person, Sean.
Right. It only took almost 50 years.
I guess better late than never. But I agree with that. I mean, even now, I mean, Sabrina and I are very friendly, but I wouldn't say that we go out of our way to meet people. Like if we're outside and our neighbor is outside, of course we wave and we say hello. But if they don't approach us, we're not people to just walk up to people and start conversations. We wait for other people. You know, if other people come up to us and start talking, we'll talk to them forever.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll change. Maybe after 4 years, maybe we'll. So are you approaching people or is it usually people approaching you when you're outside?
I think it's a mixture.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, I definitely go up and talk to people now. I wouldn't do it 2 years ago, but I do it now. And that surprises me about you because, I mean, you just did this whole Instagram and Facebook Live and all that with Winnebago where you were pretty much talking to people all across the internet.
I know. I don't know why it's different, but it feels different to me. Like I swear nobody believes me, but I really do feel like I'm a shy person. Sabrina says I'm not, and everybody that meets me says that I'm not. But I think I'm intimidated easily by approaching people and starting a conversation, especially if it's a crowd. I think I'm fine if people approach me and want to talk to me. Then yeah, I'll talk to them forever about anything matter. Yeah. And then the way I view like the Facebook Live stuff is that even though I'm talking to an audience, I can't really see them all that much. So to me, it's still more. So like when I did that Facebook Live and I would do a walkthrough with the product manager, I did my best just to focus on our conversation and tried to share it with the camera crew, which would, you know, be the audience. But I still felt like it was a more intimate thing, even though thousands of people were watching and stuff like that. But that's the way I think I just looked at it. It was just, you know, that I was having a conversation with him, maybe. I don't, that's a good point though. I don't know. I know people who are shy probably shouldn't have a YouTube channel or Instagram or anything like that. So I'm sure it's confusing to me. So I'm sure it's confusing to other people too when I say that I'm shy.
Yeah. And then you had that big, at the Winnebago rally, you and Sabrina did that talk there, and there was lots of people at that.
That was scary because that was actually a crowd of people. I think it would have been easier with maybe just a camera crew. We had a crowd of people. I guess that was easily over 100 people. It's funny though, like Heath Pageant gave me some really good advice before we did that live presentation. And he said, when you're conveying the information, don't make it about yourself, make it about the audience, that you're there to share information with them. And you're just, you know, if you take yourself out of the situation in a sense, this is what I got from the conversation with them anyway. You know, you take yourself out of the situation. You're just there to relay information to them and help them. It should help you calm down. And you're really there just as a delivery system for the information. And that's all. But he definitely helped me out with that. I still get nervous. I even during that live presentation for the Facebook, I felt like I was going to pass out at one point. And if anybody wants to go back and watch it, the very first one I did with Niles Whitehouse, there's a time that you can actually see me on camera. I'm like falling backwards a little bit And my nerves were just getting the best of me, like big time. And I thought I was going to pass out. And I remember thinking, nobody's going to catch me. There's nobody back here. Luckily, like I said, I just kind of focused on Niles, and then we got through it pretty easily. But there was like 3 camera guys. There's somebody was telling us our timing. Somebody was coming up and giving me questions. There was a lot going on.
So were there also people wandering around?
Yeah, there were people all over the place.
Okay.
But again, I try to just kind of tune them out and just focus on what Niles was saying so that I could come up with like follow-up questions and things like that. But yeah, the open house was like up and running. So we're trying to, well, not that we're trying to record, but we're recording and going live all at the same time. And then there's people walking in and out of RVs all around, like just all around us. It was a really fun event. It was, I hope that Winnebago asked me to do another one, because even as nervous as I was, I really did I had a great time. The whole,
that's great.
We were there for a few days. I met John and Nadia from Roaming Remodelers, and we did so much laughing. It's that same thing where you have that, common ground where you meet people, they live in their RV. We hit it off so fast. We were laughing. It felt more like fun than work. Even though we were really, honestly, we were working pretty hard too. We did a few live events a day. And in between the live events, we were practicing for the next live event. It was very enjoyable. It really was. And Winnebago, I always talk well about Winnebago, but they really are a great company for me too. Whenever I do projects with them, they're so down to earth. They're so nice. They're so relaxed. Nobody's like stuffy with a suit and tie type of mentality. They're more like friends and family than they are employers and coworkers or something. They're really just nice people.
You've only owned a Winnebago? Is that you live in a Winnebago Vista now? Is that the only RV you've had?
Yeah. This is. Okay. Yeah. So this is the first RV that Sabrina and I ever purchased. We bought it in, so January will be 2 years.
Okay.
So that's the only, yeah. Yep. We did a lot of shopping for RVs, and then we did a factory tour up in Iowa, and we were like, you know what, we really like what we saw at the factory tour, how it all went together, the employees working on them and stuff like that. And we weren't even looking at Winnebagos before that. Like the first 6 months of shopping, we were looking at everybody but Winnebago. We never even walked into a Winnebago. And then we were at the Hershey PA show, and we walked in one, and we were like, hey, this is really nice. How come we haven't seen one of these before? And then we saw a floor plan that we liked, which is this 27N. And then we're like, well, let's go, before we make any type of big decisions, let's head up to the factory, see how it's all put together. And
so you did the factory tour before you even bought the RV?
Yeah, we thought it was a good idea.
Oh, okay.
We thought it was a good idea. I worked construction for like 13 years, and I would always say to Sabrina, I said, what we can't see is more important than what we can see. So I was like, let's go up to the factory tour and see what's like behind these walls, and how's this actually being held together. So that was why we did the factory tour.
Okay. That's actually a great idea. I've never done a factory tour. I just we said, oh, this looks cool inside. Let's buy it.
Have you done a factory tour after you bought though?
No, never.
Oh, you should. You and Julie would love it. I think it's really fun to watch. Sabrina and I should really go to more factory tours. We've only done the Winnebago factory tour now. We should probably try to do a trip where we see how other places put their RVs together. I always like anything behind the scenes. Movies, TV shows, even RVs. I just love knowing how things get put together. Like for me, if I was a listener to the podcast, I would like to know that we actually can see each other right now. That we're using a program similar to FaceTime. And when we're doing our interviews with other people, like one of our tricks is that so that we don't stumble across each other's words is I lean in when I'm about to speak. So I know that, so not to start talking and vice versa. You lean in, and that gives me the signal to know that, all right, I got to shut up for a second.
And that was all your idea too.
I don't know if it was or not. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'll take credit then. But I always like to know behind the scenes stuff and what's going on. And that's what I love about, our podcast that we're doing together. To me, I feel like it's all the behind the scenes stuff that isn't usually just offered up as information for people with these products, learning about why SnapPad used the rubber material and the recycled at that. To me, that, I don't know. I always find all that stuff, anything behind the scenes or trivia, not, just all that. I think it's fun.
And I guess the other thing about the podcast, because you were saying when you did that stuff with Winnebago a few weeks ago, that it didn't seem like work. And this doesn't seem like work to me. I mean, we're just a couple of guys talking to people.
It's more fun than work, but I will say it's very time consuming.
It is
Also.
time consuming. Yeah.
Because of, a little bit more of the behind the scenes stuff. You and I write our questions well in advance. We're doing the show notes. We meet 30 minutes before every recording that we do to make sure that we have everything in place, make sure everything's working. You are then editing all the podcasts to make sure everything sounds good. You're bleeping out anything that's like noise-wise, and maybe bleeping out sounds like we're cursing on here, but you're taking out any distracting noises. Then we are putting together the website. We're listing the podcasts. I mean, it's very time-consuming. It's a decent amount. And I have a question for you. This actually works out perfect. You don't even know what my questions are because we didn't share our questions in advance. But so for anybody listening now that's enjoying the podcast and that's thinking that maybe they would like to start a podcast, what would be a good first step for them to take? Look at how well I just placed that in there.
I know, that was great. It's almost like we did talk about this.
I know, that's unbelievable. Nobody would believe that.
No. Boy, that's a tough question. The first thing that I would do, and I did, is find a good partner. I mean, really.
Well, thanks, Sean. I appreciate it, but
it's really true, because you may think you have a lot of good ideas and you have it figured out, but until you start bouncing stuff off of somebody else, you can really refine your ideas and their ideas into a better overall product, I think. Then you just got to do a lot of research on what recording software works well for you. Like us, we tried a few different ones before we found this one. We're using Zoom now, and just, go from there. But I think that having a good partner is definitely a key, and having a good recording platform are the two most important things.
I think that's pretty sound advice. I'll definitely echo the good partner, because I would not be able to do this without you, Sean. I wouldn't even known where to start or what to do. If I thought about doing something like this on my own, it probably, we'd be in like 2022 or something like that before I ever got an episode. Seriously, I mean, I'm so glad that you asked me to do this, because it's something that I've thought about doing for a little while, but I would have never, ever done it on my own. And even if I did decide to do it on my own, it wouldn't work. But you're definitely making this work.
and likewise, I mean, I think it's just a good partnership.
Yeah, it is. It has been.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Sean, for coming on the show and talking with me and trying to get a word in. So we hope everybody enjoyed this podcast. It's a little different than what we normally have set up for you. And if you're interested in maybe seeing what Sean and I look like rather than just listening to us, you can check out Sean at Chicory's Travels, and you can check out myself at Moving Forward Adventures, both on YouTube. We'd also appreciate if you would leave us a rating and a review. And we will be back in 2 weeks with another great guest. We actually have several great guests lined up. Please continue to listen.